Hi, friends. Beth here with Aging Care Solutions, offering both professional guidance and personal caregiving experience for anybody who's traveling the care journey with them, with their family members, or even on your own. Like, we're all aging, right? So we are all trying to figure out, like, what does it look like? What is this going to be? And where am I going to live? And what am I going to do? And if I get sick, who can I count on? The really good news is there's a lot of services. The bad news is that everything costs money, right? So anything that you can glean, especially services that would be covered under your health insurance, which I've already talked about. So you could find out the difference between home care and home health care on one of my earlier videos. But today I wanted to talk about long-term care insurance because it's a valuable tool, right, for managing the high cost of aging associated with needing care, extended care. But this comes with its challenges and some complexities. But I compiled a pro and con list so that we could so that together we would learn more about it. And I do have experience with this because I'm into a lot of people's homes over the years because I was in private duty nursing and home health services. You know, they don't know when to file a claim. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm not bad enough." And I'm thinking, okay, but you were in the hospital for 10 days, and then you went to subacute short-term rehab for I don't know, 3 weeks or 2 months, whatever it would be. And now you're home and you live alone. And your kids are scattered all over the country. There's nobody here. Of course, they're going to call and check on you. But this might be the time to find out, what does my long-term care policy cover, and what does it look like? Is it only if I'm in a long-term care facility, or can they cover some services? So that's what we're going to go over today. And I will tell you that sometimes I would sit in the living room with someone and I'd say, "Let's call John Hancock. Give me your card." I'd call him and I'd say, "I'm sitting with Mr. or Mrs. So and so," and I would hand the phone to them and they would say, "Yes, we give Beth so and so permission to ask questions on your behalf." And they would say, "Yes, I do." So they're so vulnerable. People can be so vulnerable, and I felt so honored many times to be A, in their home, and B, at their most vulnerable time. I'm going to get emotional about this, and I don't want to. But it really just shows that we are here, and I have felt this calling my entire life since I was young, to provide care for others. Like, it is our moral duty as humans on the planet to help each other. That is why we're here. We're not here to, oh, never mind, don't get me started. We're not even going to go there. I want to talk about the pros of long-term care insurance, because what we would find out is that sometimes there's waiting periods, right? But it helps cover expenses of care costs. So some people don't realize that their long-term care insurance can cover in-home care, so you can get a certified nursing assistant. It also covers the expenses, not all of it, but it covers sometimes a good portion depending on how big your premium is, how long you've been paying into it. But it also covers a certain amount, a dollar level, like a daily amount for assisted living, for nursing home stay, for adult day programs. These are services that are not typically covered under your health insurance, your Medicare, right? So that's why a lot of people, especially when they start, the younger you are, the better. So if you're in your 50s or your 60s and you have a steady income and you're more comfortable, maybe your home is close to being paid off and you've got some expendable, the kids are out of the house, so you maybe do have an extra 800 or whatever, 1,000 that it might be in that premium cost, because it is expensive to age. It was sort of like a joke. We'd say either have a lot of money or go quick. But, it's sad to think that way. But that's why everybody wants to stay home. Would you want to stay in your home for 30 years, pay off your home? Like that's the biggest win that all of us would have. And then all of a sudden you got to move somewhere and write a check for $8,000 to $10,000 a month. I don't know. Anyway, it also protects your savings and your assets. So without long-term care, extended care can really deplete your retirement savings, because again, your hospital stay and your short-term rehab stay will be covered under your health insurance, but everything else that you might need to retire comfortably could be gone really quickly if you have, going into long-term care. Insurance can help preserve, your wealth, any legacy that you want to leave your spouse, your children, or other priorities that you might have. It provides more care options. So with the coverage, you may have more choices in where and how you receive your care, because it follows you. So if you're at home, that care is going to come into the home. And there's certain things that have to be done. So when I was sitting with families, many times I would get them on the phone and I would say, what is the process? What is their waiting period? Because a lot of times they didn't know they had a 90-day waiting period. 90 days. Like, do you think that they would wait 90 days to get their premium payment? No, they wouldn't. So I took issue with that. But regardless, they would come out of pocket. This is what we would do, is many times they would have modified less hours, privately pay for someone to come in. And then when their long-term care kicked in, then they would elevate. So maybe they would just do a 4-hour care day, having somebody in, doing meals, helping them with their safety and whatnot, hydration, medication. And then when their long-term care policy kicked in, then they would up their hours. So if they were allowed 8 hours a day, then they would have an 8-hour schedule. And they could do more things too. They could get out more. Someone could drive them or take them to doctor's appointments or social engagements or even get them to church. So there's a lot of different things. Your world opens up when you have the support of a good caregiver or companion. It also follows you if you ultimately end up living at a long-term care nursing facility. So, and of course, all of this is going to be dependent on how long you paid into it, if there's a cutoff period. So there's a lot that goes into it. But it reduces your family's burden too. So say you've got kids, and they're all over the place, and they're not going to be able to take turns leaving their job and coming and staying a week at a time. They might take a vacation and want to spend a few days and do any work around the house that needs to be done. But it is hard. I mean, I was sort of in that same boat. I was caring for someone that, I had toddlers at home, and when I had to pack up that house that I grew up in and take just what we were going to need for a small, a 10 by 15 room, there's a lot of emotions tied to it. And something like this, having long-term care, lessens that emotion, lessens the physical and financial strain on your family, who might otherwise have to become, hands-on caregivers or pay out of pocket themselves. And that's happened. I have seen a lot of families where 4 of the kids are all chipping in because the parents didn't have the right insurance, or they don't have any private savings. Their greatest asset is their home, but they don't want to leave the home. So yeah, there's every kind of scenario, almost every kind of scenario. I've even seen people that were kidnapped by their kids and moved. Right when they were getting ready to move into assisted living, they toured. They were really excited. They attended some events, and then the son's like, "No, we're not. We're moving them to Georgia," which I didn't blame him. I would have probably done the same. There are potential tax benefits, which is a really nice bonus, because it's possible that your premiums can be deducted as medical expenses. So depending on your age and your tax situation, these benefits are generally considered tax-free, which is really nice, because when you think about what you're already spending and how long you may be spending, I mean, I've knew people that are like, yeah, we've been paying for this long-term care policy for 16 years or 18 years or, but it's going to bring you peace of mind. If you've got the resources to do it and your kids are out, like as we get older, we do seem to have, well, you'd hope anyway, more resources, especially while we're still working. So, and I've seen all kinds of people that were in their late 50s, early 60s that just had I knew a lady, she was really high-powered executive. She was in an Uber and they had a terrible accident and she broke her shoulder and had to have a couple surgeries on it. But she was like, oh yeah, I've got this, and this. She knew exactly what she had. She was working from her room. I went into her short-term rehab at the rehab facility. And she's like, if I have to be here, this place is going to be, I'm going to make it like this really zen. She did. She brought her fluffy robe from home. She put up she had fresh flowers brought in. She had little fake candles going. She was playing soft, like healing music. I mean, she did it up right, because it can be a depressing place. So again, out on a tangent. Sorry about that. But it will bring peace of mind knowing that you can reduce your anxiety about the future because you have paid into this and it's there to support you. And also, ultimately, it's going to help your family because they're going to know, yes, dad did that or mom bought that. And it will take a little bit of legwork, which that I didn't mind helping because a lot of times people are coming home and they're on new medications. They're tired because they've had a surgery and they've been working to, regain their strength so they can go home. But you're still recovering at home for weeks and months. So when you get home, the last thing you really feel like doing is calling and talk to an insurance provider. So I always took it upon myself. Do you want me to call? Let's call. Let's just find out. Is it still active? What are the parameters around our wait period? How soon can we get a nursing assessment to determine if we can open, a case? What do you call it? I forgot. I'm so sorry. Anyway, there's also cons when it comes to filing a claim. That's what I tried to say. But there's also a lot of cons when it comes to long-term care insurance too. And I think the protection outweighs the cons of it, but the high cost and the rising cost of premiums. So it can be expensive, especially if you wait too long. The older you get, the more expensive it's going to be. So that's why a lot of people want to lock in. And many times that's what they'll do. They'll tell you that your premium is guaranteed not to go up. And, I would really do my homework on that. And if you can find somebody like a financial advisor, someone that specializes in this, that you can meet face to face, try to do this over the internet, trying to do this. I just think there's too many possibilities of things going wrong. But anyway, the younger you are, the better. The premiums sometimes can, increase over time because when you think about it, your health is going to be very different at 61 than it is at 81. No doubt about it. And the other thing is, what if you never use it? Like my dad died, he was a week after his 55th birthday. He was just 55 years old. And he had been paying into something and it converted to life insurance. So, thank God, because who at 55 thinks that they're going to die? Not too many people. But if you're paying into it, you can lose all of those premiums if you don't have a policy with a return of premium rider or a hybrid plan that allows for something like a cash payout, almost like what life insurance would be. So it's really beneficial to really know what happens if I don't use this. What if I, die quickly as opposed to, needing this? So those are some of the questions and things that you're going to want to find out. There could be strict underwriting. So if you've had existing health issues, which a lot of people do, you may not qualify for coverage or you'll be charged a higher premium. Yeah, so I was a benefit specialist with United Healthcare many, many years ago. And especially if someone was trying to get individually insured, they looked at everything. Whereas if you were part of a group, you were still working, it was guaranteed issue in the state of Maryland. So to me, it's another, I just always feel like it would be great to have a universal health plan. Why can other countries do it, but we can't? Because, everybody needs good health insurance. And when you talk to people from different parts of Europe and Canada, they love the care that they get. Why do we not? Why do we always feel like we're getting, rushed through an appointment? See, there I go. Like I can't help it. I have such passion about care, especially for the vulnerable. And here, I don't know. I just feel like you have to be really on top of things. And like I said, stay as healthy as you can for as long as you can. Some of these policies are very complex, so it could be difficult to understand, which is really nice that someone like me would go and sit with you and call and make those calls on your behalf when you're sitting there. And I would put them on speaker and we would ask some of these key questions. How long could this run? Do I have, inflation protection? What are the daily benefit limits? And it's all predicated on their nurse coming out. They started to do phone assessments, which made no sense to me. Because you can't take someone's blood pressure, you can't take their pulse ox, you cannot get a visual. You can't see if they've got edema, a swelling in their legs. You can't tell if they're short of breath. You can't hear if they're wheezing. I mean, it's just crazy that they would do a nursing assessment over the phone. That should be a complete violation of everything. So anyway, some of these policies can be complex, and there's, of course, limited coverage or benefit caps. So those are some of the things that you really need to stay on top of. But I think the pros outweigh the cons, right? They're not going to cover the full cost of your care, especially if you're at assisted living or a long-term care facility. But it's great to know that maybe you have $160 a day and you're paying $350. Certainly that's going to be helpful, you know. For some people with significant assets, self-funding may be more practical. I talked to some people a number of times I have, and they're like, you know, we did the math and we figured with what we have saved and what we're still going to be earning with working, we're not going to pay into it because we would just, you know, we have life insurance and we figure with private assets and either one of us helping each other that we can offset what it would be if we had to have, you know, significant costly care. So, but it makes most sense. Long-term care insurance makes most sense if you're in your 50s and or your early 60s and you're in good health, right? And you want to protect your retirement assets. That's another reason why long-term care insurance makes sense. And you don't want to burden your family with the, you know, caregiving or asking for financial support if you need it because you want to stay home. So really that's what I have for you today about long-term care insurance. There are benefits to it. It does come with, you know, some ups and downs, but overall, even if you have a policy right now, I would encourage you to find out, you know, are things going to stay locked in the way that they were, say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago? And just, you know, I would do an informational update just to make sure that nothing has changed, that that policy wasn't sold to another insurance provider, because, you know, sometimes that happens. And just stay as up to date so that you know what you're facing in the event that you need to file a claim. So I wish you all the best. I hope this was helpful. I can't wait to see you on the next video. And feel free to share these videos if you have. You know, a lot of times there was a lot of family members or people all over the place and they want to know, how's Grammy doing or how is mom doing? And so, you know, staying in touch with them, sending information to them that might be helpful. So if any of these videos are helpful, go through, see what I have there. I've already done 30 videos. Can you believe it? I can't. So anyway, look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care.